Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about why we can't just lift faster on all of our sets to get all the benefits of speed work. Because as you guys know, I am a advocate of conjugate training, and I usually program, at least for my own lifters and myself, around 5% of our work is maxes, around 25% dynamic effort work, and about 70% repetition work, right? Just for hypertrophy purposes. And, I've had people say, well, look, if speed work we do it to hit the upper threshold fibers due to the speed, can't we just replace it with doing our rep work faster? And it's like, well, no, you really benefit from doing both. And I think the point that needs to be made here, and everything I'm doing in the background is all benching related, but I mean, obviously we do this for all the lifts. But no, we really benefit from doing them separately. And there's a number of reasons why. Number one, yes, we can get a good hypertrophy stimulus from our speed work, right? It creates a certain amount of metabolic fatigue. It has, in theory, effective reps if we're exploding hard enough, right? Particularly with the bands or the chains and things like that, right? If we're exploding as hard as we possibly can, exploding violently, we are getting effective reps from it to some extent. I only count them as half sets, though. I generally believe speed work, I count it for programming purposes as about half sets. So if you do 8 sets of speed bench, you did 4 sets for your chest and front delts and so on. That's how I count it for programming purposes. And you will get some hypertrophic response. However, you do not get the same metabolic fatigue accumulated that you do from true rep work, taking close to failure, right? It's different. And again, we're pointing out we get some hypertrophy from it. There absolutely is some, and it can be a meaningful and significant amount. However, what it teaches us to do is learn to explode hard. It teaches us to learn to push. And a lot of people say, well, the big lifts aren't speed strength related lifts, it really shouldn't matter, and they make these excuses, but it works, and it works very, very well. Now, doing the speed work will make you better at certain sports, right? And it's one of the things I point out is that the conjugate method works very, very well for contact sport athletes for a reason, or any athlete who needs more speed and power. Just like things like cleans and stuff do all that, and all these other Olympic lifts that people do is to increase speed strength, and it is effective for that. But when we're coming over to just building muscle and strength, what it does is that it teaches you to push maximally and to practice pushing maximally over and over and over. As for example, if you do 8 triples on speed bench, that's 24 reps where you have focus on exploding and pushing with as much force as you possibly can, right? When you're training on max work, you're only going to get about 3 or 4 reps in a workout where you can do that because you're using heavy weight. And again, it teaches you to meaningfully do so. What else does it do? Because we do very high sets, it teaches you to set up. It teaches you to get tight. It lets us practice these big lifts that can beat us up without beating us up. Okay, it teaches us how to set up on them, how to get tight over and over and over and over. Again, without the same fatigue, because speed work does not fatigue you. It doesn't beat you up. Right? It might be very difficult while you're doing it. It can sometimes tax you cardiovascularly. People even throw up sometimes during speed work. But it's not a recovery issue. So it lets you practice setting up big lifts, getting into position on big lifts, learning to get tight, body awareness on big lifts, and how to explode maximally and push with maximum force over and over and over and over. Okay? So it has all these components for improving strength and improving athleticism and even getting better at our big lifts, and it's easy on our recovery. Okay, so people say, well, what about if we just explode as hard as we can on every rep on all of our rep work? Well, you're going to do that on all your rep work? There's a lot of exercises that are not suited to that. Okay, sure, a squat, bench, and a deadlift are, but most of our rep work's not going to be on these things, is it? Right, you see me in the background doing a bunch of closed grip benching. You see me doing incline benching. You see me doing tricep extensions. Well, not every lift that we do for hypertrophy is even suited for maximum explosion and compensatory acceleration. A lot of them, it's not safe. All right, what else are we looking at? You get fatigued very fast. So if you try to push as hard and as fast as you can with a weight that's, say, your 10 to 12 rep max, and you explode with every ounce of your being on the first rep, you won't get to 10 reps. You're not going to get to 10 reps. And therefore, we're also not going to accrue the same metabolic fatigue that we want. Okay, there is something to be said for training volume, and training volume at a certain tension, because here's the other thing. If we're exploding as hard as we can, and let's say we can only get 6 reps because we exploded as hard as we could with our 10 to 12 rep max, with everything that we had. Okay, maybe 7 reps. We're not getting that extra volume with the same amount of tension on there. Okay, what happens when we take it controlled, we take that same weight and we take it up to a 10 rep or higher set. What happens? We have to control the weight, we have to squeeze everything, we accumulate fatigue. That tension accumulates fatigue, and then it starts hitting the upper threshold fibers as we continue to accrue more fatigue. And we're fatiguing beyond just the upper threshold fibers. With speed work, we're hitting just almost exclusively the upper threshold fibers with enough fatigue to grow. Okay, so it does tend to make you get stronger per unit of hypertrophy a little bit better because of the fibers that it pre-selects a little bit. Because you're not doing as much total volume, you're just going straight to the upper threshold fibers. They're getting worked immediately, and then once they're fatigued too much, we're done. With our other rep work, we're hypertrophying everything, right? Say with a 10 rep set, we're actually in multiple 10 rep sets, for example, we are creating a significant amount of fatigue through all the intermediate fibers and stuff that also have a reasonable amount of hypertrophic potential. In other words, we're going to get bigger. And people say, well, do those matter for strength? Yes, they still matter for strength. Those other fibers, lower threshold fibers, still contribute significantly to your 1 rep maxes. Because again, size equals strength potential. So what ends up happening is that if we try to explode with compensatory acceleration, true compensatory acceleration like we do on speed work, on literally every exercise that we do, we're going to get fatigued very quickly. We're not going to accrue the metabolic fatigue that we want to maximize hypertrophy. We're not going to see that. And here's the other thing. Not every lift is suited to that. Some lifts are better suited than others. You know, a Pendlay row is very good for explosiveness. A pull-up or a chin-up is not. Right? How about a good morning? A good morning is not very good for explosiveness. A glute ham raise. So you take a lot of these movements and say, well, can we explode on these? The same, no, you're going to end up hurting yourself. You're going to tear hamstrings. You're going to hurt your back, right? You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to injure your shoulders and things trying to do stuff like a chin-up ballistically. So this is not workable to the same extent. People say, why lift fast? No, you should be lifting fast. I always tell people that your concentrics should be relatively quick, right? We don't want to do those slow. You can control the eccentric more if we're trying to maximize hypertrophy, but they do not need to be like we do on speed work, where we push as hard and as fast as we can, and we treat every rep like it's a 1 rep max, where we put everything that we have into the first rep. Right? You try to do that with 3 sets of 10, and you're not even going to be able to get there with what your normal 10 rep weight is. It just turns into lower rep work. You run out of steam too quick, and we aren't getting all the benefits that we want from hypertrophy. So what are we saying here? That they work better when we use both, right? We combine these tools together, and the volume work will actually always be a larger part of your training, because we do need to maximize overall size to maximize strength. The speed work gives us other advantages on top of it and skews that ratio a little bit and teaches us to explode harder when we do need to punch or kick or jump or lift a 1 rep max. And that's the idea. They work together hand in hand. We don't try to replace one with the other. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.